Yo, what is up everyone, Tachi here. So it's probably safe now to make a video on the new Octo skills. Obviously, as you guys know, the Octo Companions were actually just released in Korea. For those that are not aware, Companions, obviously if you're new to the game, they add skills on top of a character, so up to 5. That means that the max cap for Octos now is 15. They are obtained from legend summons, so if you're saving normal scrolls for them, don't have to worry about that. Keep those for I guess Valter Companion, Helga, whatever, stuff like that. Keep your legend scrolls though, and obviously start saving diamonds if you haven't already. We should get this maybe like end of next month, early June. So obviously, let's go into Lucious first. He's the easiest one. Obviously, everyone knows Lucious normally has 4 death cards, and then at 9 he goes to 5, and then he goes to 6 at plus 10. Okay, now at plus 11 he gains 2 range, and then at plus 12 he's actually gonna get a second revive. So the way that's gonna work out is basically you kill him, you hit him 4 times, then he revives again, and then you need to hit him another 4 times for him to die. So all in all, 8 death guard. You're pretty much gonna need 9 hits. Yeah, you're gonna need 9 hits to kill him. So hopefully you guys are prepared for that. And then obviously at 13 and 14, they're just increasing his damage. This is current enemy HP. So if you have rage runes, this can actually kill. So keep that in mind. I'm not 100% sure if Koreans are actually running it on rage or fatal rage, or if they're still putting him on vital. I'll have to check that out later. And then at plus 15, he actually gains 5 death cards on each. So that pretty much de facto makes him nearly impossible to kill unless you use Christina and I always forget what her name is, Catherine. Yeah, unless you use both of them, because he just has so many death cards. I mean, obviously over time you'll eventually hit him anyways, so your main concern is always going to be to kill the enemy main DPS. So moving on to the next character, Seto is actually probably the most hyped unit in this entire expansion, because at plus 12, this Flame Guard ability basically makes it so that no attack can deal more than 11% of his HP. Now obviously this is counted separate for normal attack and additional damage. So for example, most units have 2 forms of damage: the actual hit and then the additional damage. That means that they will do 22% of his max HP as damage, as opposed to just one-shotting him. So it's like a pseudo death guard, pseudo 100% defense kind of thing, and it actually makes him survive a lot. Now there are some counters to this, namely, and probably the biggest counter, I call it a counter, but he's still like by far one of the best of the legends right now at plus 15, plus 12. It's basically you have to put your Belief buff on top of a Christina, and Christina needs to hit him, and they'll trade 1 for 1 with Christina keeping the skeleton up. Normally if your Christina hits him, she'll just die in the first hit. You need the Belief buff so that when she becomes a skeleton, the rest of her hits still go, because that's how that works for some reason. I don't know why it works that way, that's just how it works. So other than that, obviously the rest of it is pretty much just increased to damage on his counter ability. Now this will do 280% attack fixed damage, which pretty much means that anything below a certain amount of HP, they will die. So keep that in mind. Anything that's too squishy that hits him will die, because this is actually fixed damage. So 100% defense doesn't work on this. Eden will die, Dalvi will die, Angelica will die. So keep that in mind. Overall, this is probably shaping up to be the unit to pick for your free plus 9 legend unit that we're gonna get. It's between him and Belief, and I mean, you're pretty much gonna see Belief skills soon. So moving on to Levia. Now obviously everyone knows Levia is already one of the best units in the game. At plus 11, she just gains, what is this, 70% reduced damage, which I believe is max damage reduction that you can get from any skill. So she doesn't even need to be in Refi buff and she'll have max damage reduction. At plus 12, she's gonna gain permanent 65% armor. So This is basically the same skill that Eden has, but a higher percentage. The good thing about permanent armor is that it doesn't reduce, especially after turn 15, or I think it's turn 10. Yeah. After turn 10, your armor will decrease by 5% or like 2% or something like that. It decreases by a little bit over the turns, so that certain units will just eventually just die, even though they have 100% defense. So Levia, this kind of skill, it does not decrease, so that's a good start. And then obviously as well, she's gonna gain a little bit more counter, so it's gonna become 130% reduction in stats. Frankly speaking, I don't see the net, like, assuming that they can kill her anyways, they're gonna kill her regardless. Most units that can do fixed damage, I'm pretty sure are stats weakening immune. I'm not 100% sure on that. Please let me know if there's any exceptions, but I'm pretty sure that most of the fixed damage dealers, and or pretty much, let's just put it this way, anything that can kill her is probably stats weakening immune, or if not, worst case, they'll get it from a support. Other than that, at plus 15, this becomes 100% armor. So at this point, you would just be running her on vitals, which would probably increase her max HP to like 1200, maybe around there, 1300. She probably won't die to fixed damage bombs anymore at that point, other than I'm pretty sure she dies to Seto. But she can kill Seto, but only if he's main target. If he's a side tile, it does not kill him. Only if it's the main tile will it kill. So keep that in mind. And more than likely, you're not going to hit him as main tile, because something else will taunt it over, unless you kill the taunt somehow, some other way. So do keep that in mind. Obviously, this 100% defense is really good, especially for people like me who don't have Eden or Angelica, because we really need 100% defense unit in our formations right now. Like I would be so much higher rank right now. And I'm already in the top. I think yesterday I finished off at like 60 something, and I was in the 20s for a while. But if I had an Eden or something blocking certain directions, it would be so much easier for me. But unfortunately, I haven't lucked out with that. So this is a very good skill for me. I already have our plus 10. More than likely, I'm probably gonna get her and Lucious to plus 12 to make the most of best worlds. And then I'm either gonna get Seto to plus 12, or I'm gonna go with her to plus 15. And obviously the main reason why I'm doing that, this is why I want to get her to plus 15. Only reason. The only reason. The last unit, Elias. Now, as you guys already know, Elias is already a pretty good unit to use, especially in Guild War defense and even in Arena to some extent. Now, the main changes to her, in my opinion, are pretty okay. At plus 12, she obviously gains extra side tiles, which means that now if you are supporting someone in the bot or top lane, you will still reach people on the opposite lane. So previously when you used her, you kind of had to put her buff on someone that's in the middle, but now that is no longer required, which would make her slightly better, or actually probably infinitely better, in a chopsticks form, which is a 2-line with nothing in the middle. Now, that being said, really not much has changed on her skills that make her really broken. Her skeletons last longer. They do more damage. But for the most part, the rest of it seems to be going all into her buff. The length of her buff went up from 12 turns to 36 turns. And her actual thing here goes from 200 and, well, I guess it's less than that at this point. Goes from 250, lasting 12 turns if I'm not mistaken, to dealing 350, and it lasts 36 turns. These are the skeletons, by the way. So other than that, let me see if anything else has changed. Nope, death card is still the same amount. So pretty much, at least as far as I can tell, not really much has changed other than that. I do also see something here that says that the skeletons will basically no longer take turns, like they'll skip over to the next turn order. So that means, for example, and I don't use Bellius, so I'm not 100% sure. At the moment, with Bellius plus 10 or below, when her skeleton would attack normally, like for example, if I have a skeleton of Alec, Alec won't attack, obviously, because he's a skeleton, but then it'll pass the turn over to the enemy team, right? So instead of doing that now, what her skeleton will do now is that it'll basically act almost like a support, and it will change the skeleton over to the next person on your team. So my Alec in this case, instead of attacking and giving it to the enemy turn, will then move up and let my Levia go and charge up, and then obviously the next unit or whatever the case may be. So obviously this is better for you, because obviously you will disallow the enemy from going just because you happen to have a skeleton of a warrior on the field. So that's good, I guess, but I still think that at the moment she seems to be the weakest of the legends. So do that with what you may. Personally, I'm probably gonna end up going Seto. I really wanted to go Bellieth, just because I really don't want to build her up to plus 10, and she's really useful, especially in Guild War, but it seems that unfortunately Seto's just too good to not get. And I guess his skin is pretty decent as well. So this is likely the thing that I'm going to end up doing. Unfortunately, or should I say fortunately, for a lot of people right now in Global, especially at the top and in the high-end guilds, they already have Bellieth plus 10. So they don't really lose out on anything, but unfortunately I don't have Bellieth at plus 10. She's at plus 0 right now, so I might have to just get her to plus 3 and then just like use her as that, I guess. That's pretty much my only option at this point. Obviously in Arena, not much has really changed. Oh, I can't even show it. Obviously in Arena, in Korea, I did post it on Reddit, but for the most part, it seems that Nard is actually reduced. Nardis is being used a little bit less, but outside of that, not much has really changed that much. It seems that perhaps the Koreans are waiting for the free Seto, which I find a little odd, because I would assume at this point, playing this long, most of these old-time Korean players would already have a plus whatever Seto, but I guess maybe not. Maybe they're going for that. So Seto has actually not increased too much in usage, but I suppose we'll find out if that is the reason why in the coming 2-3 weeks or so. By the time we have it, we'll probably know whether or not Koreans adapt it. But other than that, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you found it informative. If you did like the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I'm out. Have a nice day.